Hello YouTubers. This is an audio response to the slideshow that was put out that was called aTHEIST. The very first thing you see on the slideshow is some young lad come running out of a room and jumping up and wedging himself between two walls. And I said, well, I hope his debating skills are as good as his athletics there. And so the slide continued. Then the first claim is posted. And the claim, which of course didn't include any reference to where he got these stats, but that's okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. First claim said, 36 million Americans don't believe in God. And I said, And? Well, I was waiting for him to post how many Americans do believe in God. But apparently that didn't fit into whatever point he was trying to make. I then assumed that since he's an atheist, he probably came from a public school system, and the public school system doesn't teach our children how to do math very well. So I figured maybe math would be a problem. So just in case, I decided I'd do the math for the young lad. Let's say the current population is around 300 million Americans. Take away the 36 million atheists and agnostics, I guess. Well, that'll leave about 264 million Americans. We'll take away another, say, 64 million that are too young to believe in anything. And that leaves about 200 million Americans that do believe in God. And so I have to ask, what is your point? I mean, are you proud of being in a minority? I mean, are you proud of being a rebel without a cause? I can remember back to the 50s and 60s where a lot of our young people were just that, rebels without causes. They had utopian dreams. We had the hippies. They chose to rebel against society and against anybody who was over 30. They were going to do their own thing. And then one day something happened. They woke up and found out that they were over 30. And they found out that their friends, who were all part of the cause, were suddenly not around. They had become yuppies. They became big businessmen, stockholders, lawyers, all those things that these young rebels opposed. Life and reality smacked them right in the face, and they came to realize that those utopian dreams were just that, dreams. Okay, the next claim on this slideshow was that Christians make up 75% of the prison population. And again, of course, there was no reference citing the source of the poll, but that's not unusual for atheists. And I'm wondering, the people who did these polls, did they ask these prisoners whether they were practicing Christians? Or was it just something that they needed to put on the birth certificate at the hospital? But the majority of practicing Christians don't go around doing things that are going to make them wind up in prison. The true attributes of a Christian were defined by Christ. He said, "You shall know my disciples by their love for one another. Not all who say, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven." Unquote. The slideshow continued, and it put up a verse. The verse said, "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God." And then the slideshow proceeded to facetiously put the word fool in front of each of the personalities that he was going to highlight. And then their accomplishments are shown. Somehow I get the idea this atheist actually believes that God called these people fools because they couldn't achieve anything. But that's not the case at all. He called them fools because they failed to acknowledge the person who gave them the brain to do the great things that they're capable of doing. That's why they were called fools. I'll give all these people their kudos for whatever they're able to achieve using the scientific method. It's when they depart from the scientific method and make comments that are, I should say, unusual, to say the least, It's those things that we kind of question. All right, I'll begin to comment on some of these personalities. Let's start off with Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov said the following, and I quote, "Emotionally, I am an atheist. I don't have the evidence to prove that God doesn't exist, but I so strongly suspect he doesn't that I don't even want to waste my time," unquote. So he admits that spiritually he's a closed-minded individual. He also said, and I quote, "I believe there's enough evidence for us to think that a Big Bang took place," unquote. Well, here he's at odds with a Nobel Prize winning astronomer named Hans Alvin, who said the following, and I quote, "The Big Bang is only a myth that attempts to say how the universe came into being," unquote. That was from Discovery, June 1988. Next on the list of the slide is Noam Chomsky. If there was a poster child for people who engage in historical revisionism, Noam Chomsky would be the perfect poster child. This pseudo-intellectual actually reported that only 25,000 died in the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia. The fact of the matter is that at least 200,000 people were executed by the Khmer Rouge regime, while estimates of the total number of deaths resulting from the Khmer Rouge policies included disease and starvation range from 1.4 to 2.2 million out of a population of around 7 million people. Chomsky also said the following, and I quote, "I see no anti-Semitic implications in denial of the existence of gas chambers or even denial of the Holocaust," unquote. The very fact that this slideshow, the slideshow's creator would include Noam Chomsky as someone to be admired speaks volumes as to the credibility of most of what he is trying to present in the slideshow. Chomsky is notorious for lying and distorting history. One need only read David Horowitz's The Sick Mind of Noam Chomsky to see what I mean.